Well, welcome. We're back at the West Coning tasting couch here again, and my name's Danny.
And I'm Paul.
It's my dad once again. So last time you were here, we tasted some Delirium Noel versus the Grunt.
And it was, I thought yours was better than the Noel.
Which, I mean, there were two different types of beers, so that's understandable. But today, we're actually going to try a beer I purchased recently from Fremont Brewery. So we have with us today the B-Bomb Coffee and Cinnamon.
Coffee and cinnamon. Wow.
You ready for that? Have you ever had anything like this?
Not really. I've had coffee, but not the cinnamon. So, I mean, coffee beer before. Yeah.
This is for the local style. Keeping it local. I think that's what my tagline is.
Keeping it home.
So Fremont Brewing is here in Seattle. They make some great beer. They make way too many IPAs, but they make few stouts, and the ones they do make are usually barrel aged, and the ones that are barrel aged are amazing. So keep it up with the stouts because they're amazing. But when you go to the tap room, only certain times in the year you'll run into like stuff like this. So I usually only go to the tap room when I know stuff like this is on tap.
Good.
So keep some stout. They have Dark Star on tap, which is a pretty good beer. But this is a limited edition, 2022. So it just came out a couple weeks ago. And so we're gonna
Good.
So this is nicely waxed. So we got to take care of the wax real quick. Got this razor blade that I'm not gonna kill myself with. Believe me, I'm a professional.
In other words, you've cut yourself before.
Well, yeah, it's like, trust me, I'm a mechanic. Like when you slip your wrench or
Yeah, I know.
So hopefully this works. It's not as cumbersome as before. So I'm gonna. Well, before I do, you want to give it a bottle look?
I was looking at it. It looks like the creature from the Black Lagoon on there.
So it's the B-Bomb. It's the abominable snowman. It's the Yeti.
Okay, yeah.
It's the Yeti with the barrel.
Yeti, yeah. Okay. That's just my first impression was you may not know what that.
It's the green. It's like the green creature, right? Yeah, like with the Monster Mash kind of. Like the monster people. All right. So this is not necessarily chilled. This is like kind of setting in my cellar, and we decided to bust it out just on a whim here at the end of January. But I shouldn't say the date, so this is hopefully it's timeless, so I can upload this whenever I want. All right, I'm gonna pour it. So let's get your glass here. Let's give you a little something.
Oh, that is thick, isn't it?
Oh, it's. There you go.
You can't even see through it.
All right. So I think it was already agitated, so I was able to get a little bit better head.
Yeah.
But you look. That is dark.
Yes.
So I can already smell it. I can already smell it.
Yeah, I can.
I can smell it from my head.
That's what that. Yeah, I can smell it, but I didn't know what it was for sure. So.
Yeah. So. Right. Like you can. It's like a stout. You can smell the stoutness of it. From malt bill, but then there's a little bit of coffee.
Yep.
You can smell a little bit of coffee there hanging out. So that's interesting. So the color is just darkness. There's there's nothing going through it. That's just
nothing.
Whereas some dark beers, has like a nice amber color when you shine up to light. This thing is black.
Black as night.
So smell. Let's go with the color. What grade would you give this? I would give this probably a 3 for color because it is mud to me. But you might like the color, this darker color, this pure mud, this non-see-through opaque style. So what would you give it?
Probably about the same because
3. It's just dark.
It is
pure darkness, right?
Yeah.
It's not Like it's not see
Almost
through.
like a cup of coffee. I mean that.
Yeah. So
I mean, dark coffee, not the light stuff. So.
Now let's go to smell. What's your smell? What are you gonna give it for smell?
It's a sweet smell too.
It's like sweet coffee.
Yeah, it's like I.
So once again, this is a cinnamon coffee bee balm from Fremont. I love your beer, at least the dark stuff. Fremont. But yeah, so color.
You can almost the cinnamon
or
too.
smell.
There's a little cinnamony there with
the coffee. So like a 1 to 5, I would give. I like
the
smell.
smell.
It's like a 4,
4.5.
It's like 4 to 5. Yeah, I would agree. So this has a lot of smells that are very fun and nice. So I would just give it 4. So 3 and 4 now. But let's go with mouthfeel next. So let's take a sip, see what we think. Going in for it. Ooh, that's nice. That's really nice. Well done.
Oh yeah, you can really taste the coffee and you can get the cinnamon.
But it's also not as heavy. Remember the rusty nail, how like heavy it was?
Yeah,
I was
expecting a heavy beer, but it's not.
This is great. This might be my new favorite beer. Like it used to be rusty nail. Rusty nail but it was too thick. Now, like Thanos thick.
Yeah.
But now I think this guy, because they loosened up the thickness and it's less thick, little less body to it, so it sits a little less heavy on your mouth, which is nice and kind of smoother. It has like the smooth finish. It's sweet.
It has the cinnamon in the aftertaste too, so it hangs there for a minute. Coffee and cinnamon.
So mouthfeel. So just the feel, not the taste, but how it feels.
Yeah, it feels. It's
so 1 out of 5.
It's smooth.
Oh yeah.
And not light, but not heavy like the other.
Those chocolatey notes hang around. I love it.
Yeah. Oh, I'm gonna say the mouthfeel is probably a 4.
Yeah.
I like it. Yeah.
I would say I like my Belgian quads that are a little less mouthfeel. Like it's a little less heavy than this. Like it's not quite a stout mouthfeel, but this for a stout or for a heavy beer is very nice in the mouthfeel. So I'm gonna go and throw this like a 4. I'm gonna maybe even 5 because it's very well done.
Yes.
So and then for the flavor, let's hit the flavor. I mean, there's a lot of things going on with this one. Very at first it's a little bitter, then turns sweet almost, right? And then you start to as it falls off your tongue, you start to taste some of the coffee and the cinnamony, those kind of subsidiary flavors that are in the beer, but they kind of they're not overpowering. It's not like there's 500 flavors hitting your tongue at once. This is a nice one. This is a good one. So what? Flavor. What do you?
Geez, I feel like I'm stuck on 4, but I like the flavor.
I'm gonna give this a 4. Yeah.
Yeah. The flavor's good because it's original. Not felt or because of the lightness and the flavor, the combination, and then the aftertaste of the cinnamon and coffee together, it gives you a full.
It is a full, well-rounded, very well-made beer, and it's actually very new. So this year's. It's probably been aging for over a year in the barrel, but they just bottled it recently and they sold it. You could probably head down to Fremont Brewing and pick one up right now, depending on when this video comes out.
And you can tell them Danny sent you if you want, but I don't know.
I don't think they know me. I've talked to a couple people there, but I've complimented them on their beers, but probably no one of actual run the place. But yeah, so I would give this a 4 as well. So overall, I would give this. So overall, I do the half rating. So I'd give this a 4.5. This is a good beer. This is an amazing beer. I enjoy it.
Yeah.
This is top tier for me. So
it is absolutely.
This is gonna get the West Coning stamp of approval. This is one of the best beers you can find. I don't know any other better beers right now besides on my tap. But but you
a little prejudice, huh?
Well, of course.
Yeah.
You gotta sell yourself. You gotta sell yourself. That's the way you gotta do it.
Yeah, absolutely. So this is a very good sipping beer. It's not like, you
You're not
just
gonna
throw
crush
it down and crush it. Yeah, it's not.
It's not like a session. It's not. Yeah,
It's
not
not a
crushing.
Hams. Yeah.
Yeah. Not a Hams beer for sure. But what is? I think it's like 13%.
Oh.
Yeah. So 13.5.
Wow. How do they get the 13.5? Is that? I don't understand that really well. So
Percent alcohol. So
I know about what that means. Yeah.
So how do they get? How do they make the beer that alcoholic?
Yeah.
All right. So yeast.
Mm-hmm.
So before you have yeast to a beer, you have what's called wort. And all wort is mixed starches and sugars, complex sugars, some non-complex, because there's a process that goes into it. But long story short, wort is just sugar water. You add the yeast. There's some yeast that have high attenuation, which means you have high attenuation, or like 80 to 90% attenuation. That means the rate that they turn that sugars, the bacteria, or in this case the yeast, eat the sugar, and then they pee out alcohol.
Basically, that's what happens.
That's right.
I think there's a little more technical.
But then they fart CO2.
And they put out CO2.
They fart CO2 and pee alcohol.
Wow, that's quite a combination.
But that's what yeast do, and so that's why you get a carbonated beverage. For one, you get a CO2 carbonated beverage in your bottle, and that's why you get alcohol, and how you get 13% is 13.5 is very hard. So the highest I've ever made here in the West Coning brew house is, I think it was like a 10.5, 10.7. I've never gotten really above that, just because I don't have necessarily the best equipment. I don't have, I just don't have.
Yeah.
I always use that as a crutch. I use like, so first of all, I'm in like probably a 400 square foot apartment. First of all. Second of all, I don't own a big brew house.
Yeah. With barrels to put it in and let it sit for a year.
Well, so this is what happens. So the yeast were still in this, right?
Yeah.
When it sat for a year. And what they do is, since they don't have anything else to chew on, is they'll still eat those last remaining sugars that were really hard for it to chew on.
Mm-hmm.
Like, so if I ferment mine for 2 weeks, maybe 3 weeks, then put it in secondary, let it sit, there's still yeast in solution. It's a small amount, but they'll still munch. And on whatever's left, they'll find the scraps, and it'll slowly, like some you can inoculate it so it doesn't have any live yeast in it anymore, and you can add fruit, you can add all these flavors. But if you don't do that, there's still some yeast in solution, and it will eat, and it will get more alcoholic over time. And the idea is it becomes more dry. So the less alcohol, the less dry it is usually. Kind of. So, and that's based on the sugar that's left. So the sugar that's left, so you can tell that this is a very sugary, very heavy beer. And so the heavier the beer is, like a stout, there was more sugars lingering around that the yeast couldn't eat because they were done. They were already, like, sometimes they don't like operating just because when it's high alcohol, like they're swimming around their own pee, they don't like it. So they're like, I'm not hungry anymore. This is gross. I don't like to eat the stuff that's hanging around my pee. And that's true. But sometimes they're like, oh, if this is it, I guess I got to. And so you let it hang around long enough, and it still slowly gets more alcoholic and more alcoholic. And then there's other tactics too. But there's other like different distillation tactics. But they get a little more complicated. But then you can taste like the barrel age. It just adds that richness to it.
They matter around what the barrel was originally, right? Was it a a bourbon or a what? So
D-Bomb. It was like a Imperial Winter Ale with coffee and cinnamon, aged in a bourbon barrel. Well, welcome Ben to the table. Do you want to? We just got done trying the Bebop.
Oh, is this a different one?
Yeah, this is the coconut or cinnamon coffee.
I'll take some.
So welcome Ben to the couch, the tasting couch.
Well, thank you.
This is unexpected. He came through the window. I don't like.
Yeah.
He literally came through the window.
You gotta do what you gotta do to get
The door is right there.
The
window is right there.
Isn't that where the cat came in last time I was?
Yeah.
Don't talk about me that way.
So, and he brought his glass too. So he mustn't like. What do you use? You've probably heard us from the bathroom.
No, I came up, saw you guys, and then I was like, oh, they're home.
Huh?
And then